Let's introduce our players here before we go any further. WhiteRa, the red Protoss, chrono boosting his Nexus, is the Protoss in the bottom right corner, in the red, and in the top left, excuse me. We have Stefan Anderson, the blue Zerg from Team Mouse Sports, doing a fantastic job in game number 1. Can he come back, or can he finish out WhiteRa in game number 2? Now, again, we have to kind of put in question now WhiteRa's builder. He hasn't ever really been that strong mechanical player. Like, no one will ever contest that. But he's always been a strategical player that's won down. So what do you think he has in plan for game number 2 on Ohana?
I'm not sure. Ohana is a interesting map. Again, line formation, just like Shakura's Plateau. Well, to an extent, Shakura's Plateau. But you will normally expand away from yourself. It lends itself a lot more to drop play, warp prisms, that type of shenanigan. But forget about it.
Oh my! This is a throwback build. I remember WhiteRa used to do this back.
Doesn't have supply.
Oh. He actually doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have the supply room to really make any units. Now he could just opt to go double stalker and really punish a Zerg that goes lack of speed, especially because on a map like Ohana, 2-player map, you can guess your opponent, and the distance isn't that far away. And actually, that's not too bad of an idea, I think, if that's what WhiteRa was trying to do. Back in the beta, I remember WhiteRa used to do 2-gate zealot pressure back when close positions on Lost Temple Metalopolis used to be very prevalent. And those days are done. Yeah, really nice. It just wins you the game.
It's like, oh, you didn't go one base of Roach? Well, you're dead.
So yeah, so WhiteRa going to go double stalker. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Cool.
And he will be committing the first 100 gas over there. You can see the warp gate technology isn't even started. He'll probably start that directly after this, or maybe not. He'll just do stalker pressure. Take it back. Take it back. I took it back.
Now the big thing is that Morrow has one Overlord in position to scout it, but the biggest thing is like, whoa, no pylon on the low ground, no forge, no gateway. And Morrow's been talking about how he's been fearing a certain build that's been coming out, and that relates to Gateway Nexus, but he doesn't even see any Nexus attempts, so he already knows to be a little bit more careful. You can see a spine crawl already starting. And WhiteRa, oh, he's going to run past one Overlord, and that's a pretty big loss there, as that will supply Morrow pretty deep. Or will he even get it? Oh, my.
No, he didn't.
Great maneuver there.
And WhiteRa is currently in the red, so he's not looking too good. He needs to do a lot of damage right here, but as soon as that spine crawler hits, he will be stabilized pretty nicely. Behind this, I do believe he's just massing up. You can see nothing in the production, so he is saving up for that Nexus. There it goes down right now, but hopefully he can incur a lot of damage and force Morrow to overmake units. That's what he's trying to do. If he can get there, obviously it'll be good, but right now he's starting with a disadvantage just by doing this build.
Well, he's doing a nice job cutting with the stalkers thus far, but taking a lot of damage on one and the other. Oh, wow. No. WhiteRa losing a couple of his stalkers, but still the queen is under heavy pressure. Morrow is on hot retreat. You see the Zergling's speed finally started here for Morrow, and no real attempt to take the third base. He can't even afford to. So WhiteRa, this pressure is actually being a little bit more effective than we thought it would be.
Yeah, this is doing really well. Spine crawlers are continuously being picked off. And look at that, Morrow is now in the red. He has 10 Zerglings in queue. But now the flank is trying to be done. Will he get around those stalkers? He can't cut them just yet.
No, yeah, he doesn't want to go that far off. The Zerglings are so ineffective off creep. Now speed is halfway done. That gives WhiteRa about a minute left to really try to push in here. But the Zerglings trying to go on surround, and WhiteRa getting really close. One stalker gets left behind. And so WhiteRa realizing that maybe I can't be that effective. But of course, he's been transitioning this whole time, getting his a couple more gateways, 3 more gateways in fact, and his Nexus is finished. So back at home, WhiteRa is completely safe, and he's also got pretty good information on Zerg, being able to read what he's been doing. So
definitely, it stopped his opponent from getting a third base. That third base timing is all out of whack, and I feel like Morrow is in a tough situation. What does he do? Well, if he gets an expansion, he kind of lends WhiteRa the ability to do some sort of huge 2-base timing. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's still going to be a timing because you can't saturate your base in time for any of these aggressive pushes to come out. So the third base is kind of scary to go to. Do I go for a tech build? That's also scary because all Protoss has to do is defend from there. So I say the pressure that he did in this early game stage was worth it overall, and he was able to do enough damage to not give Morrow just such a commanding lead in the drone count.
And the drone count is 38 for Morrow, 37 for WhiteRa, so that's very effective because Zerg would normally be droning very comfortably. Morrow starting his third hatchery in the top left corner, a little bit of a misposition compared to normal conventional thirds. Top right, why do you think Morrow put it here instead?
I think he wants to play the macro game, but normally WhiteRa is going to scout in the top right-hand corner and say, oh, there's no third there. Well, he's staying on 2 base, and he'll try to play a little bit safer. You know, expect some sort of 2 base all-in, but of course we know that's not coming at all. Because he's gone for this third base, I think it's just a little bit of a ninja expansion. It's a semi-ninja expansion.
Semi-ninja expansion, so. WhiteRa, he's getting everything else pretty normally, getting his Robotics Bay and preparing a very classic Protoss Death Ball. And we see Morrow getting a Spire. Now, we've seen that Morrow is capable of playing all different kinds of styles. We saw him go Roach Hydra, but Mutas is something that we haven't seen in a long time here. And what do you like? Do you like Mutas for Ohana? Do you think it's effective at all? Especially, I think the expansion pathing might be beneficial, but there's not much airspace to work with, is there?
I think for the amount of base they're at, no. But it could be.
Yeah.
No, it could be. I'm actually back and forth with this.
Yeah.
I like Mutas just
too,
because it's in a line formation. Obviously, more position to defend makes it a lot harder. So that's good. But at the same time, this is kind of back in the corner, this bottom left-hand base. And when you have an expansion like that, you can easily defend it with, or excuse me, you can easily defend it from any ground and air attack, right? You just have more time to deal with it. You're tucked away in a little corner, so you can make good SimCity. Everything's really nice over there. The natural isn't, like, you're not expecting anything to go in the natural or the main. So I feel like Mutas can be good, but they can also be terrible. It's a very thin line, honestly. It's a very, very thin line. I don't know what to think about it. I have to give it more time.
And we're not actually supposed to say terrible, so we'll say Mutas can be either very effective or revolting. There you go,
They can be revolting.
Morgan's watching and he knows, and he's happy.
Yeah.
So, but just like you said, the Mutas can be very effective or they can just completely be ineffective. And I think that all comes down to a lot of positioning. And, you know, a lot of times when we see Protoss move out here, you see WhiteRa already traversing halfway across the map. Sometimes the way the nature of Mutas harass, they end up base trading. But at the same time, Morrow, his third has been extremely vulnerable. The first Mutas that are hatching from the third are immediately getting picked off there, and that is not good news, as those are 5 Mutas, 2 of which immediately went down.
You can see it looks like it's going to be a base trade.
Yeah.
And no, it's not. WhiteRa is going. Oh, he lets the Zerglings in. He had the Zealots in the perfect place to stop all those Zerglings from actually going forward.
Yikes.
Unfortunately, he just does not hold position.
Yeah.
He forces WhiteRa to actually base trade here.
And base trading with Zerg is really tough, especially on a map that is not. It's going to take a long time for WhiteRa to clean up everything here and then fall all the way back to his base. And there's not much escape route because it goes both ways. Yes, maybe a big map makes it harder for Protoss to run back, but because it's a smaller map, it's harder for Protoss to hide compared to the way Morrow can. So Morrow is flying and trying to do as much damage as possible. The probes are trying to evacuate, and Morrow needs to keep tabs on where those probes actually are.
Wow.
Ooh.
And the drones try to evacuate, but the Colossus will give good sprays. So overall, this is getting to be pretty crazy.
I gotta give the advantage right now to WhiteRa though, because there's not that many Mutas, and the whole idea is Morrow doesn't have many Zerglings killing stuff at the main of WhiteRa. And Mutas kill buildings way slower than this Protoss ball here.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely agree. And there are a good deal of Stalkers out here. With those Stalkers, I think he's actually able to clear up all the Mutas. 10 Mutas out in the field, 8 Stalkers now on the field as well. So with Blink just about to finish, he should be pretty strong against against Morrow right now.
Morrow, oh no, he's losing all of his drones again at the main. He has nothing really. He's got another batch of Zerglings trying to go into the main and the natural, and Morrow dropping in supply pretty heavily. WhiteRa still has 1 mining base, so he's still got warpins despite the fact that he's been base chained this entire time. Morrow hasn't been able to break it just yet. Great cannon positioning as well, allowing WhiteRa to get to fall further and further behind and just whittle down the numbers of the army. It doesn't matter if WhiteRa necessarily loses all his army in his main, as long as he can kind of go back and protect. And you can see the Stalkers are already on retreat trying to protect their main.
And if he can get all of his units to just defend, camp out his Nexus, he'll be in a position where he can actually start to build again. And look at this. Oh, a Zealot was misplaced. I thought he was going to segment all those Zealots from the rest of his base, but no. Or the Zerglings. He's going to segment the Zerglings.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, though, because I think WhiteRa, even though he loses his main, he's still okay.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a huge army. He's still got units. He can pretty much clean up anything on the ground very easily. He just has to make sure not to lose too much Stalkers, though. But the Muta count's very, very weak in the orange and the yellow, and with Guardian Shield, that could be a huge game changer. You can see Morrow already trying to pick up whatever he can, but Morrow now down to 12 supply, compared to 23. This is a pretty crazy game here.
Definitely. And look at the mining base for Morrow. It's actually the worst positioned base right now, since WhiteRa is just staying inside of his. Let's check the income tab. 0 harvesters to 1. I think WhiteRa's not even going to buy a single probe.
But WhiteRa doesn't know about that base either. For now, all he knows is that Zerg has... that he's not being revealed. That's the biggest thing. WhiteRa cleaned up, but...
Loses a Muta.
Yeah, every unit he loses at this point is just another option lost for Morrow, and he needs to keep all of his units alive. Now, he does have 2 drones, and technically WhiteRa has none. WhiteRa also has the ability to warp in, but he's just not really doing anything. He's being very careful to pay attention to his armies at all times.
Exactly, because he thinks his opponent... well, okay, maybe he doesn't. I was going to say he thinks his opponent has another base that's roaring. Actually, WhiteRa is going to be so pleased that this base in the bottom right-hand position was just started. You know, normally when you're in this position, it's like, why are you still in the game? Oh, you have another base. Crap, I might be so far behind. But look at this. Morrow goes for the Nexus at this point. Might be able to pick it off. No, actually, the Stalkers get there in time.
There's only 1 Stalker. You're going to try to blink back. Just not want to engage the sentries. This is one of the very few times you'll ever see Zerg be so deathly afraid of confronting sentries directly. Just because these Mutas are extremely, very, very vulnerable. You can see WhiteRa. Oh, yes. WhiteRa, his Colossus is getting way out of position, but he's sacrificing the Mutalisk to try to pick it off. And I think at this point, Morrow is completely okay with it. He's down to just 8 supply, and he's been spending too much time. GG. WhiteRa takes game number 2 after really good decision-making and positioning with his units, and in the end, whittled down the Zerg far too much for Morrow to be able to handle.
That was a nice advantage from the beginning. The 3-4 Stalkers that did so much damage, obviously killed the Spine Crawlers, killed the Queen, forced his opponent to not make a 3rd, forced his opponent to not make drones. When you're in that low economy and you don't have that much larva, you really have to make the best possible decisions throughout the game. And I felt like Morrow made good decisions all around, but the base trade just didn't work out this time around.
And guys, I mean, that could have all been prevented too if WhiteRa was really diligent with his warp-ins and making sure. I mean, if you ever think your job is bad, imagine being warped in somewhere as a Zealot, and it's like the worst position possible. You warp in directly being surrounded by like 40 Zerglings.
Oh my
it's like,
God.
why did I report to work in today?
Why didn't I just stay at my position?
So
all I had to do was stay there. All I had to do. And now I'm dead.
I know, it's so simple, right? So simple. All things, I feel like a lot of situations in life, a lot of problems could be fixed if only you fixed one thing beforehand. But that's why hindsight is 20/20. Guys, that game was brought to you by Azo, the people providing monitors for NASL Season 3. Thank you so much for them. Check it out at azo.com. Don't go anywhere. Game number 3, the deciding match between Morrow and WhiteRa, is coming up right after this commercial break.